Okay, so we are here to play Haunted Station. It's a scenario for Alien World. This is going to be this session 1 of 4. And let me first kind of get you guys oriented. So there is quite a bit for you guys to learn in this. So this first session is probably going to be a little slow, but that's okay. In a horror film, the first part of the movie is kind of slow anyway. So learning the game and just getting up to speed is perfectly normal. To have questions and to have things that you might be like, I don't really understand how this works. Be sure to speak up and ask me questions, okay? So first of all, there is let me get you a link to the manual in case you want to read it, but you don't need to. Everything that we'll use is actually in Roll20, but if you are curious and you'd like to read it, let me get a link to that manual. One moment. Okay. I'll just put it in the chat on StreamYard. So there's a manual in case you guys want to look at it. But let's look at Roll20. Mark, have you used Roll20 much? I
Yep.
know with John, when we played Zombie World and when we played Alien, we used Roll20. So I know you guys have some experience at least. But let me point out a few things to at least remind you of. So first of all, in Roll20, we use pages. So you should see right now a tabletop with all kinds of cards and character mats, all kinds of stuff. But as we play the game, I will move you around to other different pages to see things like I just moved us just like a star field. But I can be looking at one page and have you guys on a different page. So if I forget, which I commonly do, and I'm referencing something that you can't actually see, just be like, hey, Jason, we're on the wrong page. And I'll drag you back to where I'm looking at. Um, on the in Roll20, there are several widgets that will make your life easier. In the top left, there's a whole bunch of tool buttons, I guess. And the main one I want you to point to is there's like a looks like a paintbrush, and that will allow you to then select whether you want to draw a shape or draw freehand or do lines or text. You'll use that a lot to actually draw right on our tabletop, like your character card. Um, so just that's where that is, and you can when you select how whatever you want to draw, you can change like the size and the color of your text or your shape or whatever. So you just know that that's where that is. In the top right, and depending on the size of your screen, you'll use this quite a bit. There's a button for zooming in and out. I know I try to design a lot of the stuff in this game to be fairly readable as much as I could, but you're definitely going to probably need to zoom in on certain things just to be able to read them. So that's where that is. And then the last thing for Roll20, at least this basic stuff, is on anywhere on the screen. If you hold down your left mouse button, it'll ping. If you ever want to like draw the rest of our attention to something, you can just hold down your left mouse button and it'll create a concentric circle. And we all have a different one. I have sort of a greenish color. You guys have whatever. I think it matches the color next to your name down below. So like Mark has like a lighter green, and John, you have like a purple. Um, let's talk about cards. So, like Zombie World, Alien World uses lots of cards, lots of different decks. There's a whole bunch of cards on the table already. We'll talk about these as we go along. But the one deck that you guys will actually the only deck that players use, that would be you guys, is the very first deck, which is in the bottom right. There's a bunch of decks of cards, but the top one's called Resolution. And this is how you result. This is basically your dice in this game. So instead of using dice, you use cards. And what you do to draw a card is you just hover your mouse over where it says resolution. The card should like move a little bit. It should like kind of raise up a little bit. And then you can hold, left click and hold your mouse button down. You can drag it on the table and it should flip that card over and show us what you got. Go, everybody just practice that. I got an edge. Everybody just do it once. If you don't hold it down, it does what happened for somebody there, which just had a miss. There you go. Somebody got a miss, and then somebody got opportunity. So when we draw cards, that's what we'll do. And we'll kind of, this little area where we all put our cards, that's kind of the area that we'll use. So we all know where to look when it comes to a resolution. And then whenever we do a resolution, make sure to remind me to recall and shuffle. All right. I'll come talk more about these cards later on, but let's move on to the moves. If you go to, in the upper right, there's a bunch of tabs. There's one for chat. It says Matthew will be on in 5 minutes. If you go to the upper left, upper right, it has a bunch of tabs. There's chat, and then the next one for you guys will probably be journal. Go ahead and tab over to journal, and you should see there should be there's 2 folders. One's called game concepts and one's called moves, and then there should be several loose handouts. And if you click on the plus, it'll open up any of the folders. Open up the moves folder, the second one. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 handouts in the moves folder. These are the different moves we'll use in the game. We'll talk about them more as we go on. But whenever we talk about triggering moves, this is, you'll find those moves, that text in here.
Quick check.
Go ahead.
I only see 5 moves.
Oh yeah, one of them's only that I can see it. Never mind.
Okay.
There's 5. Yes. And so that's where that is. And then there's a loose handout called safety. Go ahead and open that up. This is just a very simple way to put in lines and veils, and you can start working on that now, or you can wait. The only sort of thing to keep in mind with this is that in Roll20, when you're editing, only one person can edit at a time. So if you put in your edits and then it doesn't look like they show up, it's probably because one of the other players was editing at the same time. So after you edit, go back a minute or two later and see if you need to do it again. That's the only thing to keep in mind there. I'll come back to safety in more detail here in a minute. Now let's talk about cats. Concept, aim, tone, and safety. So concept-wise, Alien World is a collaborative and improvisational game. So I have a few kind of very basic ideas that I might bring into the game, but I'm kind of walking into this with nothing in terms of a story. We will build that together little by little. So as we play, you guys, I invite you to be as creative as you want. Throw stuff out there, throw it at the wall, we'll see what sticks. We'll put it together, listening to each other, we'll put together a story that makes sense. It probably will happen pretty quickly, we'll get a good feel. Also, it's a cinematic game. So as we play, as we're framing things, as we're describing things, if you think in terms of a movie, like if this was a movie, what would it look like and how would it be shown? I will overtly refer to flashbacks and helicopter or crane shots, or just all that sort of like cinematic movie language. I think that's a very good way to sort of create the feel that we're looking for. Aim, we're going to here to tell a story. We're going to try to tell a story, of the group, of the adventure, but also I hope that each of your characters will have a story, an arc of some sort by the time that we're done. This isn't good. I know this isn't a play test. Like I said, I play test it quite a bit, but there will probably be some changes from session to session. There definitely will be things that will pop up that one of us or all of us will realize could maybe be done differently. So don't be surprised if between sessions I come back and be like, well, that move's a little different now. But it's pretty. I think it's pretty firmed up. So I wouldn't expect a ton. Like I said, part of the idea of play testing it is I'm going to record it. Like I said, if at the end, I'll ask if you want to make it public or not. But if not, that's fine. if at any point as we're playing, feel free to break out of the story and be like, let's think about this move a little bit. If you have any sort of meta conversation about, just the game itself, feel free to like step out of our story, our narrative, and throw that out at us. And then at the very end, I'll be very happy to hear any of that sort of feedback. Tone. This is, as you'd expect for a survival horror, space horror, alien-based game. It's going to be a kind of dark and gritty tone. It's going to be a lot of tension, a lot of feeling of foreboding. We'll try to make it a little scary, right? I would say by default, it's an adult content sort of game. We can certainly moderate or modulate any of our um, of our stuff to make it comfortable for you. But by default, I think it should be a kind of adult in our content and tone. I think Alien and other show, Pitch Black and Event Horizon and all that sort of space horror stuff. I think it tends to have a sort of retro futurist sort of feel. So, all the computers use DOS. They've got big like tubes instead of transistors, or I don't even probably even you know what I mean. So everything's big and bulky and dirty and old and kind of run down and breaking all the time. And as I commonly say when I play one of these kind of games, it's like we have a spacefaring civilization, but we're using 80s level technology for some reason. Okay. Safety wise, content warning. So it's survival horror. There's going to be body horror. There's going to be extreme violence. There's going to be sudden death. Death is part of the genre. So your character might die heroically or just suddenly and meaninglessly. So, or somewhere in between. But it's very easy if your character dies to just create a new character or take over. What you'll do is you'll take over the body of an NPC is what will happen. This game very likely might have references to drug use, religious extremism, and mental illness. Again, we can moderate that to whatever level you're comfortable with, but by default, that's sort of the stuff that might show up in this game. In this game and in a lot of these kinds of stories, characters act badly towards each other. This goes anywhere from just being tense and irritable to flat out killing each other. And this game, I've designed it in a way to kind of allow you to opt in or out. Hey, Matthew, what's up?
Hey, good morning. I'm the days to God. I'm not sure if Ray will be joining us because they are taking Mental Health Day. I did not talk to them about today last night, so I don't know if that's going to continue. But I'll get back to you like maybe later today. But
Okay,
definitely, things have been kind of difficult lately. But with the Kickstarter and all the other like game design stuff going on right now.
no problem, no problem.
Yeah.
And they can jump in later today,
Yeah.
next time, whatever they want. Open door applies. So that's cool.
I am marginally terrified about the fact that I'm playing Alien with the same people from before, and things did not go well last time.
No.
All right, all right, all
Um,
right.
all right. So let me just, we were just jumping into sort of the cats and stuff. Let me give you just a quick update. I see you're in Roll20. I know you've used Roll20. If you have questions as we go, ask me about Roll20 or anything else, okay? And we'll take a minute. And as I said to these guys, this game has some nuts and bolts, things to sort out and to figure out. So it's perfectly normal for all of you to be like, I don't understand this. Tell me more about it. And that's part of this first session, okay? So anyways, we all know each other. We can skip the intros. Safety wise, Matthew, there's in the journal in Roll20, there's a handout called safety. We're going to talk about safety here in a second. Actually, we're in the middle of it right now, but you could put in your lines and veils there, okay? And I was just saying that this is a survival horror, so there's going to be bloodiness, there's going to be body horror, there's going to be death, but you guys give me feedback as to what you're comfortable with, either through lines and veils or through talking, and we will try to help everybody be comfortable. As I said, there's probably going to be at least references to drug use, religious extremism, and mental illness. Characters are going to be uncomfortable or nasty to each other. And then, as I was saying, this could go anywhere from just being irritable all the way up to being violent, with each other. And but the game is designed in such a way that you can opt in or opt out at sort of whatever level of PvP that you're comfortable with. Okay, but certainly we can talk about it too. This is an off-Gauntlet game, but we're still going to use the Gauntlet Code of Conduct, which I break down to just basic stuff like be kind to each other, be generous, respect the boundaries of our lines and veils, ask permission to enter another player's scene. I don't mind people coming into scenes, but you definitely need to ask for consent, so that everyone's comfortable with that. If you're not in a scene, pay attention and mute. It's all pretty basic, right? The open door is there for anyone. If Ray, needs it today, that's cool. If any of you need to step away for any reason, whether it's just for a moment, whether it's for an hour, whether it's a whole session, whether it's the whole run, that's cool. You don't need to explain yourself. As much as you're comfortable, do so, but you don't have to. Matthew, you can go and mute. I think we're picking up your whatever you're doing.
Oh, sorry.
No problem. And as I mentioned, there's lines and veils. So when you get a moment, each of you go in and put in some lines and veils. So far, we have sexual violence as a line, and we have a veil on torture. So we will not have any sexual violence, and we will have a veil on any sort of torture in our game. Feel free to add more stuff as we go, but I will go back and look at it in a minute. And then if none of the other safety stuff works, there's always the X card. So you can always just say X card. I X card blank. I was playing with some Gauntlet folks yesterday, and they X carded basketball. So but it wasn't because like someone was traumatized by basketball. It was because basketball was going to show up in the game later, and the game master didn't want us to have basketball as part of our background or whatever, because it was going to be in the game. So it could be something very serious, or it could be something just anything really. You can X card. It's perfectly fine. All right. So the course of the game. One thing I should note to mention, especially for Matthew, is that this is a improvisational and collaborative game. So I have very little coming into this as a game master. We're going to create our adventure through experience, through talking to each other, through introducing different elements as we play. And everybody, as I said, be as creative as you feel comfortable, or throw ideas out there, whether they're little or big or whatever, and we will grasp onto things that help us create something fun. The course of the game. So in this game, regardless of the scenario, characters start in a bad situation where they must find a way to escape with their lives. It's survival horror. At first, we won't know much about your characters. Through the game mechanics of a game mechanic called stories, and also our identity cards, we're going to come to learn more and more about your characters as we go. Each scenario will have a monster of some sort lurking in the dark. And then there will also be a number of what I call non-monster threats. These could be things like NPCs, they can be things like robots, they can be things like fire, they can be things like earthquakes, they can be things like radiation. There are other things that might come into the story other than the monster that might make your life difficult. As you explore locations or get misses on your draws, I will acquire what I call threat cards. These are just basically, I'll acquire this resource that I can then use to introduce, bad things into your lives also. I use them to trigger attacks. I can use them to further the plot. I can use them to introduce more dangerous monsters. So when the game starts, depending on the choice we'll make, there's only going to be, let me start over. There's monster cards, and they have anywhere from level 1 all the way to level, in this scenario, it's going to be level 8. The lowest level monster is weak. It's it's the face hugger. So in alien terms, but if I get the second one, then maybe I can introduce the chest burster. And if I get the third one, then I can introduce the drone. Okay, and it goes all the way up to the queen. So as you get misses, I'll get these threat cards, and one of these threat cards allows me to raise the level of the monster, so to speak. So there's a way to add some more tension that way. Like any PBTA game, you guys will trigger moves, and then we'll resolve the move. As you get misses, like I said, I can then take my actions. That's all pretty straightforward. Let's talk about the resolution deck. Matthew, I can't remember. Have we played Zombie? Oh yeah, you and I did play Zombie World together. That's right. So I know you played it at least with me. Have you played Zombie World other than that? You're muted.
Other than that, I don't think. Sorry, what was the question? I played
Have
Zombie
you
World, yes.
have you played Zombie World? You played with me. I don't know if you played. Have you played otherwise? Probably
Yeah,
not. So you
yeah,
have.
yeah, yeah, Zombie World with you, yeah.
Oh, with me, yeah. But I wondered if you played other than that. Okay, so what? Let me go to the resolution deck. If you like to count cards, there are 11 cards in the resolution deck. And let me pull them out to get one of each. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4 different cards. Let me tell you what they each mean. When you draw, you're going to draw anywhere from 1 to 4 cards. And I think I need one more. I need the Triumph. It'll probably be the last one. Here it is. Okay, so when you play Zombie World, you'll get 1 of 4. You'll draw 1 to 4 cards, depending on how good you are at something, and you'll usually then select the best of those cards. The worst card to get is the miss. A miss is a miss, right? It's pretty straightforward. An edge is probably the next best card. It's a partial hit or a hit with a complication. It's a 7 to 9 in PBTA terms. Then there's the Triumph. A Triumph is a 10 plus. It's a full hit, no complication. Then the wild card is Opportunity. Opportunity is a miss unless you take stress and turn it into triumph. So you'll describe how you push yourself and turn your miss into turn that opportunity into a triumph. So that's the resolution cards. And like I said, whenever we draw, be sure to remind me to recall and shuffle. There are 11 cards. I think there's 6 misses, 3 edges, an opportunity, and a triumph. Okay. How we decide the number of cards you draw. This is a little different from Zombie World. So let me push you guys towards. There's a folder under the journal called Resolution Mechanic. Go ahead and open that up. The game concepts folder has a bunch of different stuff that we'll talk about as we go along, but this one, Resolution Mechanic. Whenever a PC attempts to do something difficult, they and the GM will work together to define the move and then draw cards. So how you decide the number of cards you do is you kind of go through this list. First of all, you always get 1 card. So you'll get 1 card for free. Then we ask, does your PC have an applicable expertise? Your cards that you'll have, your identity cards will define some expertise that you have. If you can make a good argument why you think one of these expertises apply for what you're trying to do, I will say, sure, here's another card. I will tend to be liberal with this. If you have a halfway decent argument, I will give you that card, okay? Then I'll ask, does your PC have the right tool for the job? If you feel that you have the perfect piece of equipment for this thing you're doing, we'll give you another card. On this, I'm going to be picky. I'm only going to give you this card if you have the perfect piece of equipment. Not a pretty good piece of equipment, but the perfect one. Then we will ask, does your PC have significant advantage? If you've through fictional positioning or something that we've established prior to this draw, you can make an argument that would give you an advantage in the situation. We'll give you another card. There are also a lot of moves and different ways that you can get significant advantage, but a lot of times it'll just be coming out of the story, okay? And then finally, if you don't already have 4 cards, you can push yourself, take a stress, and get an extra card. So you'll end up then on any draw from anywhere from 1 to 4 cards.
Is that choice to push yourself made before you've drawn any cards?
That's right.
Okay.
So you could push yourself, take a stress, and then get an opportunity as your best card, and then have to take another stress to push it to a triumph. So that the stress can build up pretty quickly once you start getting into that push game. But there will be moments I'm sure you'll want to do it anyways. All right. Is there any questions? I think that's pretty much the intro of at least the rule parts of it. All right. So, and I know, Matthew, you're kind of coming in halfway through. So if you have any questions, feel free, interject, interrupt. That's cool. All right. So let's go to the next part. Let's talk about the scenario. There is another handout in the journal. It's called Haunted Station Setup / Orientation. Go ahead and open that up. I try to fit a lot into one page. If the little thing that you click on, if it's too small, so you can always scroll down and all the text is in the in sort of the body of the handout. But anyways, let's talk about this scenario. So our game is in the alien verse. It's in the alien universe, okay? And it's the year 2180. That's 1 year after the events of Aliens and Alien 3. There are rumors of dragons and space beast out in the universe. You know, people are whispering, but there's no public knowledge of the existence of xenomorphs, all right? There is, in addition, building tension between the big powerhouse governments of space. That's the United Americas, which is like North, Central, and South America, all kind of conglomerated, and they have a big chunk of space. Yeah, Aliens is not that far in the future, no. And there's the Union of Progressive Peoples, the UPP, which is the equivalent of space Soviets. Remember, these movies were made in the 80s, so you know the Soviet Union was still a thing. And then there's the Three World Empire. There's this sort of thing in Alien. I don't know if they ever mentioned in any movies. It's sort of like the extended canon has this idea that the United Kingdom and Japan, they sort of like created a union by marrying their royal families together. So there's this sort of like resurgence of this monarchist system. It's kind of weird. But anyways, so these three major empires are clashing. And that Three World Empire is heavily under the surface. It's pretty much Weyland-Yutani is kind of controlling the puppet strings of the Three World Empire. They've come out. I don't know if you guys know, but Weyland-Yutani is a union of a British and a Japanese company. So it kind of parallels what happened with the royal families of those two nations. So that's kind of like the broader setting. Now let's get into the nitty gritty of starting to flesh out our adventure. So the first thing I want you guys to decide, and this is for all three of you to work together to decide what you want to do, is decide what kind of power level you want to play the game at. So the only thing to keep in mind is that there's 3 levels, there's 3 power levels, and the higher you go on power level, the tougher the monster is going to be in the beginning. So if you start out being like the lowest level, there's only going to be a level 1 monster. But if you choose the real badasses, there's going to be 3 level 1 through 3 monsters at the start of the game. So keep that in mind. But talk amongst yourselves. Do you want to play civvies? The PCs are regular folk. They only have commonplace items. For weapons, they might have a blade or a pistol. For equipment, they only have easily obtained items or things germane to their job. Professionals, the PCs are used to danger. They may have any weapons short of military-grade equipment. They might have a single rare, expensive, or hard-to-obtain item, plus a full set of gear appropriate to their mission. And then the highest level is absolute badasses. The PCs are experienced and highly trained specialists. They might have any weapon or piece of gear that they can realistically carry. In addition, each PC defines an extra combat-related expertise. So the three of you, I'm going to shut up, drink some beer here, and you guys tell me what level you want to play at.
I am open to any of them. I think my first thought was civies.
Yeah, I think civies would be. I'm between civies and professionals.
I'm going with civies. I've already played on a professional level in the past previous game, and I kind of want to take it down a notch. So, well, not take it down a notch. It's still going to be intense and and dangerous. But yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Okay. Civies. Sounds like where we're going.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Everyone's cool with that? All right. So civies it is. All right. We'll spell that out better, who you guys are, who you guys are in a minute. But so let me just remind you, put that in your mind. You can always go back and look at this later. So that means that when we talk about equipment, I'm going to restrict you to commonplace items. For weapons, you'll have them at most, you'll have a blade or a pistol. For equipment, you will only have easily obtained items or things germane to your job. Okay, so that will be the kind of question we'll be asking when we decide whether or not you have a piece of equipment. And by the way, this game uses sort of a blades in the dark kind of system for equipment. I don't know if that means anything to all you guys, but what that means is that we don't define your equipment. We kind of create it on the fly. So we'll be I'll be like, hey John, do you think you have anything that would help you here? And you'd be like, I think I have a motion detector. And I'll be like, well, I don't think you cities would have a motion detector. Sorry, So that's how it will be sort of a negotiation about like equipment. So, anyways, that's sort of the parameters we use.
I'm now trying to imagine somebody who tries to weasel a motion detector into the backstory of a character who's an insurance salesman.
Right.
I use it to find clients.
But you could always do but you can always make equipment too. So like in this, there's you can craft it. Like in the original Alien movie, they didn't have motion detectors, but they did create a motion. It's same with a flamethrower. They, I always forget his name, but Yaphet Kotto's character is like, yeah, I can throw together something, and he made like a little motion detector, and he made like a flamethrower. So you guys can certainly find or make stuff as we play, but in terms of what you'll actually have in your pack, not a lot. All right, let's move on to the station itself. So our game is going to take place in a huge station, large enough to house several hundred people. It's on the frontier, far from the prying eyes of the authorities. Okay, so I'm going to go around the table. I'm going to ask these questions to a particular person. Let that person, throw out their 2 bits. But then if other people have addendums, they can jump in and add, we should work together to create this, but we'll start with one person in particular. So let me start with Mark for this. Mark, it's been here, the station. It's been here a long time. It's most well known for its original and still primary function. And there's a list there. Do you see that?
I do. This is so delicious. So many good options. I think so. Colonial transit would include like moving colony folk.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's sort of like a waypoint on the way out to the frontier, out to your new world.
I kind of like that. I like colonial transit.
Colonial transit.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anybody else looking at that list have any other ideas or anything any 2 cents they want to put in?
Colonial transit is a great choice.
Yeah, I love it too.
Colonial transit. It is indeed. This station is most well known as a way station, a colonial transit waypoint, so to speak. Great. Let me go to John then. John, the next question. It's rumored that it's also being used as this is the rumor around the world, around space, that this space also has.
Oh, this is where the juice is.
I'm going to go with religious sanctuary.
Oh no,
right.
Here we go.
Any feedback about any other ideas or any 2 cents on that religious sanctuary?
I mean, I think both of us probably had ideas or suggestions, but John seemed so convicted about religious sanctuary that I don't know.
All right. All
I
right.
mean, I'm open to everything. I'm thinking about. I don't know if y'all have ever played the Dead Space games.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, I know the Dead Space lore, the Dead Space
And
mythology.
so, the people in it that they have this whole religion that's built around the, what do they call it? The monolith or the
Yeah, the
monument.
object,
And
the object that they found. Yeah,
yeah. And then if you've
basically,
read
they're
some of
based.
the Alien comics, right, there's a religion in those about the people that worship the alien. And so, yeah,
Right. Right.
I think all of that, like,
So
and
it's
then
like
Okay.
a
you've got
way. So it's like a
people
way
moving through.
station, but it's also secretly a home to a cult.
Yeah. Could be. We'll
Yeah.
spell
All
that.
right.
We'll spell that out more as we go. But that's the way we're leaning so far. Okay. Great. We'll go with that then. Matthew. It lies in the space of is nominally under the jurisdiction of the United Americas, the Union of Progressive Peoples, the Three World Empire, or no one. It is an unclaimed space.
I did not know about different jurisdictions. Like, obviously, I know that United Americans is probably the central organization in those movies, but can you tell me more about the Three World Empire and the
Sure.
Union of Progressive Peoples?
Yeah. So the Union of Progressive Peoples is, like I was saying, it's like the space Soviets. It's it's
Space, sorry, what?
space Soviets. It's sort of like
Oh, Soviets.
it's a
Yeah.
communist nation. I think it's primarily I think it's Chinese, Vietnamese, German, and I think those are the biggies. But there's a bunch of other nations that sort of like came together and claimed a big chunk of space, under a communist government. It's imagine it, and for our terms, imagine it as 1980s type uh,
Mm,
Soviet society. Okay, so it's
mhm,
it's at least, like I said too, in recent times, there's been increasing tension between these three empires. So take
mhm,
that Cold War, it's starting to lean a little bit towards a hot war between the UA and the UPP. And then there's the Three World Empire, which is a sort of like it's a union of Japan and Great Britain, and it is a monarchist government, sort of, and it is very much under the sway and control of Weyland-Yutani. It's sort of corporate controlled, and they tend to be very corporatist and sort of neutral between the UA and the UPP, but they have their own military, they have their own concerns, their own um, you know government also.
So metaphorically speaking, they're like analogous to a Zaibatsu nation. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I would say that's pretty close
Yeah.
actually,
If
or
we're going with
maybe a
Cold
little
War
bit, like a little
fears.
bit between that and the EU, maybe. If the EU
Yeah.
were actually like
Yeah.
more um, tied together, or
I feel like if
so
it was
yeah.
the 80s, if it was the 80s thing, then they're probably trying to merge this fear of rising sun Japan with like, oh, what if the old world European corporations became like Japanese corporations, and all that stuff. I think I'm more interested in the three world empire. That's for
Okay.
sure. Yeah, yeah.
All right. All right. So
And
this station is nominally in the jurisdiction of the Three World Empire. Okay, great.
yeah.
Is that
Anyone
okay with the
oppose
other
that?
guys? Okay.
Unclaimed space. That's boring.
All right.
What
Let's
is
go back.
this?
Let's go back around to Mark then. Mark, it is registered to and owned by a government, a corporation, an uber rich person, a collective, a religious institution.
I so none of those really are jumping out at me. Does working collaboratively, does anything really jump out at anyone else? Anyone get a sense for anything that seems exciting or interesting? And if not, that's totally cool. When we
Yeah.
say,
I mean, I would say I think the boring answer that's in line with the Three World Empire is that it's registered and owned by Weyland-Yutani.
should we just make it the company? Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. Yeah, we can.
Or did you
Definitely look at that.
mean, John? Or did you mean that that you didn't prefer that it was a corporation?
No, I'm totally fine with that.
Okay.
I think sometimes, right, like the boring answer is the right one because it
Mhm.
just
Okay,
fits,
I can never
right?
tell when someone is saying
Yeah.
boring, like by
Yeah.
by being self-deprecating about a suggestion, or boring as in like I don't want this.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a good philosophy in role playing. Is just go with the obvious thing. Great. So it's registered to Weyland-Yutani. It's in Three World Empire space. It's a colonial transit station, but also it's got rumors that it's some sort of religious sanctuary. Um, Another, I think, who are we on now? John. John, another faction is hostile to the owner and is always trying to disrupt, spy on, or take over the station. This hostile faction is, and the same stuff, government, corporation, uber rich person, a collective, or other.
I think there's a collective. There's some underground grassroots movement.
Okay. Is it a sort of social collective or like a religious collective? What do you imagine?
I think it would be interesting if this is a distinct, like probably a a socialist political type movement, separated from the rumors about the religious sanctuary.
Okay.
So in my mind, there's kind of three factions that we've built so far.
Right. Okay, great. I like it. And then coming on to Matthew, the hardest question of them all. The station is called. What's the name
But
of the
see,
station?
I was looking at ahead of time, and I noticed like space stations in the alien universe, like the ones that have distinct names, they're named after people in cities, right? That are germane to the setting. Sevastopol,
Mm-hmm.
Novgorod, Katanga. I think let's name it maybe Hanoi, like after the Vietnamese city,
Sure.
and I think it was a hotbed of socialism too as well. So
Right.
in real world, so
Okay. How about I'm guessing Weyland-Yutani wouldn't love that if it's got that sort of maybe it's like colloquially known as Hanoi Station, especially amongst like the socialist minded peaks, but maybe it has like a more official name that Weyland-Yutani gives it. What do you think of that, Matthew?
what kind of official name should Weyland Yutani give it? Maybe it is called Hanoi
Uh,
originally, and then
yeah,
like
maybe,
post Weyland
yeah.
Yutani, it's goes by something else.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
idea. Yeah, I like that. I'm just thinking because we in this universe, this is probably not that important, but the Vietnamese are part of the UPP, the socialist government. So it's a good fit to what John was saying about there being sort of an underground socialist movement. But I really doubt the corporation would like anoint it that, like they would try to lean towards something more like you go in with the location names. We know that Three World Empire is a union of Japan and Great Britain. Is there a city or a location in one of those nations that you want to say is its official name, even though everybody calls it the Hanoi? Maybe the Hanoi Hilton. How's that? Anyways,
I think okay, so in line with like the history of like colonialism and imperialism, I think it's called Hanoi Station,
okay,
and they would not be so tacky as to rename it something else because that's just going to piss off the locals.
okay,
They won't rename it like they won't rename it Tokyo or Ishimura or anything like that, but they will rename it like Keyhole Station or something like that.
okay. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, or the keyhole or the ring. Like the wheel. Those like bigger than big like monument style names. Yeah.
Okay, you
So
want to go the Ring, Keyhole Station, something else?
I think I'll point to Mark. Maybe do you have any ideas like what you would like to name it for like a Titan? I guess because there's a Titan station in one of the movies.
No,
Let's call it a Titan.
Titan,
Yeah, Titan.
Titan. Okay. Yeah, I like that. And then maybe there's like like you if you look at the walls, like they have us, when you come in, it says "Welcome to Titan," and you can see they just sort of like affix that over the old sign that said Hanoi Station, or maybe it's like you can still see sort of like the where it was stenciled on the wall.
I'm sure
Um,
there's graffiti, right, of like Hanoi lives on and stuff like that
mhm.
Yeah.
that they're constantly fighting.
I feel
Mhm.
like this space station is set in the Blade Runner universe, to be honest, at this point.
They are not too far apart from each other. There's
Yeah.
Ridley
There's a
Scott borrowed some ideas. Yeah, there's a lot of people talk about how those universes are not too far. There's certainly the Venn diagrams have some crossover.
So, John, I made
Um,
sure we didn't call it the Ishimura station because that's just inviting doom.
let's move on now to characters. So,
Oh,
I
do
think.
You
do
skipped over the orbits.
we gotta know about the orbit?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Mark. It orbits a planet or moon, nothing, or a black hole or other anomaly.
Um, I was thinking a brown dwarf star, which is like a large star that's not like fusing, so it doesn't put off apparently tons of energy, but
Mhm.
it's very massive.
Mm-hmm.
Or some type of anomaly. If anybody has a good anomaly that they wormhole would be interesting, but
Well, let's go. Unless anybody has a better idea, I think the brown dwarf star is pretty cool.
okay, cool.
And is it just orbiting the star as itself, or is it orbiting some other body that's orbiting the star?
Just the star, all of the like the inner planets and so forth were consumed by the brown dwarf at some point in the past.
Okay.
We'll say.
Okay. So I imagine since there's very little energy coming off, I imagine it's a very dark place.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Oh, here we go. Great. Let's go on then. Get back to where I was. Now we can move to characters. So John, or all of you guys first. Characters, you haven't worked together for too long, but have been together long enough to establish some friendships and rivalries. John, so this is where we go back to the choice we made. We chose civies. So then there's space truckers, colonists en route, corporate employees, a salvage team, or other. So what kind of group are you guys?
The one that jumps out to me is colonists en route. That sounds really interesting to me because that means we don't know the station really well. It's a new environment for all of us. But certainly open to what Mark and Matthew think.
That's
Sure.
great.
Matthew, you cool with being a colonist?
I think
Colonists en route. Go ahead.
I think I'm also interested in a salvage team or a space truckers thing, unless of course people think that might be too similar to the original Alien.
Okay.
That's cool.
I would lean over to space truckers. I think that makes a lot of sense that this like waypoint probably isn't just for colonists shipping out. It's also just a common stopping point for long distance travels. So I'm up for that as well.
Yeah, someone needs to bring luxury goods to these guys.
Sure. Or just very basic goods too. All right, space truckers. Let's do that then. Space truckers. So we'll spell that we'll flesh that out a little more here in a second. Let's see. Who are we to now? I think we're down to John. Am I right? Or no? Or
No, I just went.
Matthew. We're here too. So why have you come to the station? You're a group of space truckers. You come here. Your ship needs an overhaul. You're delivering a mysterious package. You're here to steal the blank, get some badly needed R&R, investigate corporate malfeasance or strange reports, rotate onto the station, or complete a contract or other. That's you, Matthew.
Oh, sorry, that was me. We're here to. I'd say our ship needs an overhaul.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'll elaborate on that a little bit more if it's not too much, but maybe some direction we could go into is that we we've completed contracts before, and now in order to qualify for better gigs or for interesting gigs, the ship needs to have certain modules or certain things, bolted onto it to accommodate bigger, better, or more niche requests in transportation.
Okay. Is everybody else cool with that idea?
Yeah, I was gonna say such as transporting live animals of some type. And we're like, yeah, sure, whatever that job is. Does it pay
Right.
well?
Exactly. All right. So you guys are just some hard-working space truckers looking to get some adjustments and mods to your vehicle, your spaceship. All right. And then this goes to Mark. We work for ourselves, ICC, which is a Interstellar Commerce Commission. It's basically like the space FBI, sort of a government, Weyland-Yutani, another corporation, a collective, or another corp. I guess I have other corp twice, don't I?
I like the idea of So there can be other NPCs that are part of our crew, correct?
Yeah.
Jason. Okay, so I think we work for ourselves. Would be cool. We are whoever the captain is actually owns the ship that we're on. So I think we work for ourselves. Would be
Okay.
fun.
All right. Everybody good with that? All right. Great. Then what we're going to do, let's go ahead and take a 5 minute, let's take a 10-minute break. And we'll come back and then we'll get into non-monster threats and then creating characters. All right. So let's take 10. I'll see you guys in 9:17 on my clock. right, everyone's back.
Yep.
Any questions so far? Any concerns? Anything? Let me take another look at the lines and veils, see if anything's changed since I looked at it last. So now we've got for lines, sexual violence, homophobia, and transphobia, and we have a veil on torture. Okay, that's all good.
I
All right.
apologize for the mess behind. We moved. I'd like to pretend that we moved only a week ago, but no, we moved a month ago. I'm not done unpacking everything from 10 years of living somewhere else.
Sure,
So,
no problem. I'm in my laundry room, so I have no room to get on your case.
oh,
Um,
I didn't even notice that until you pointed it out now.
yeah. All right, so let's go. Or I'll wait for Mark. Oh, you're muted. You're probably saying I'm here. I'm ready. Nope, still muted.
Oh, sorry. I'm just eating with my camera off.
Oh, okay, good. No problem.
Sorry.
Oh, I see that. I see in the chat. Okay, let's go to the next part. So this is where we make some selections of non-monster threats. Go to Roll20. Look in Roll20 on the tabletop. In the very middle of the screen, there's a whole bunch of cards. There's a whole bunch of cards here. But what we're talking about are the cards with the sort of green outline and red outline, right in the middle. There are 4, 8, 10 green ones, and there are 8 red ones. These are the possible selections for our non-monster threats. These are things other than the monster that will make your life hard on Titan or the Hanoi station. What we're going to do is we're going to go around the table, and each of you is going to select one of each. You're going to select one green one and one red one, but we're going to do one at a time. We'll go around, and then we'll do serpentine. We'll go back the other way. So we'll go. Each of you will get 2 selections. Okay. Whatever you don't select, we'll remove from the table, and we just won't have in our game. Well, those 6 dangerous things hopefully will be enough to fill up your lives with adventure.
I love these cards. I love all the cinematic references.
Let's I think I started with Mark when we did this before. I'm going to go to John then. So John, select either a green one or a red one. The green ones are, what do I call them?
Environmental threats, it says, I think.
They are environmental threats. That's right.
Yeah.
And the red ones are mobile threats. Which one would you like to add to our game?
I mean, I've already brought it up. It's got to be the cultist. It's even got the comic cell that I was thinking of when I referenced it earlier.
Perfect. All right, so I'm going to pull that up to the top right for now, just so we know we selected that. Let me go to Matthew. Matthew, which one of these would you like to have in our game?
Sorry, I missed that. Which threat did John
Cultist.
choose?
I on Roll20, I dragged it up into the top right. Cultist.
Yeah. Cultist. All right, so you chose the mobile threat. That's great because, okay, I don't know a lot about brown dwarf stars, but from a very quick wiki read, I read that it was like a star that does not have enough I don't know, space magic to sustain nuclear fusion. And so I thought, whatever. So it's a weird thing. So maybe there's a gravity well.
Sure. So there's a good
Unless
chance.
people,
That means like the station has the potential of being dragged into the star, right?
yeah. Unless people feel
Mark did say that this, like the interior planets have already been absorbed by the planet, so maybe our station is has that in its future, unless probably it's been using thrusters and stuff to keep it from being dragged into the star. But if those thrusters stop working, all right, great, I like it. Mark, which one of these would you like to select?
I'm going to choose vacuum hull breaches.
All right. So that might show up. We might have some vacuum and hull breaches in our station. Great. Back to John. John, you selected a red one, so now select a green one.
Structural instability.
All right. And then Matthew, you selected a green one, so select a red one.
Right. Let's see. Red ones. I think there's a lot of refugees or survivors from the because you said Mark said that there are other planets or other bodies that got absorbed, so maybe they lost their homes and were displaced onto the station.
Okay. In this case, survivors is probably more like when you arrive. Here's a spoiler: when you arrive at the station, bad things have happened. So maybe they're survivors from those events. That's probably more
Yeah.
what that's shooting at. Okay.
Yeah.
But
Survivors.
yeah, we can spell that out better as we go. All right, great. And then finally, Mark, you get to pick a red one.
These are all so good that I want these sentient aliens that are not Xenos.
You want to go with that?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, great. All right, so we have cultists, we have survivors, we have sentient aliens that are not Xenos, we have gravity well, vacuum hull and breaches, and structural instability. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of the rest of them. These are not going to be in our game, or at least not in a real significant way.
I had no idea there were other aliens in the alien setting.
Not in the core canon, other than the engineers, if you count Prometheus, and I guess they're not in Covenant, are they?
What's,
But they
what's
are
Prometheus?
in Covenant. Do you ever see Prometheus? Ridley Scott's.
I'm just messing. I'm just being. I'm
Oh,
just
okay.
pretending there are only.
Yeah,
I'm just pretending there are only four
exactly.
movies.
Right. Yeah, and of course the original Alien, the thing on, what do they call it? They call it
the pilot, the space jockey.
Yeah,
Space jockey.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
So they leave it. I like it. Of course, like most people, I like it that they leave it mysterious. Like the fact that in Prometheus they go on and like try to like define the engineers and all that.
I've never
Do we
seen.
consider Predator Alien movies as canon?
I consider the first two Alien Predator movies canon, but I'm a weirdo. I've never seen Prometheus.
I think officially there are three separate canons when it comes to that. There are the Alien movies. This is like according to Fox, right? There are the Alien movies, there are the Predator movies, and they are the Alien versus Predator movies. They're all separate universes, at least the way they look at it, right? So, when I was running a 2 shots, play test of this during the summer, the monster was the Predator. I use the Predator as the monster in those. So,
that's fun. That's nice.
Maybe it's the Predator. We'll find out. Our sentient alien. We'll figure that out as we go. But anyways, for now, these are our non-monster threats. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's move on to now character creation. Get to the right spot here. There is a card under. It's a loose card right towards the bottom called Character Creation. Go ahead and open that up. This is in the journal. I think it's probably the second to last handout. And in this game, you create your card. You create your character through the cards, the same as Zombie World. There's 3 cards. They are pretty much the same as they would be in Zombie World. The first card that you select is called your role. This is who you are now. This is who you are as a space trucker, okay? If you look on our tabletop, at the top center, there are 10 cards with pictures of people. These are the 10 roles that we have available to you. You're each going to select one of these. The remaining 7 are going to be NPCs. All right, they're going to be along for the ride. They're going to have their part to play, whether they die or whether you become them as you die. We'll find out as we go. But for now, each of you, I'm going to shut up again, and each of you kind of work together to figure out which of these 10 you each want to be. When you've selected the one you want to be, drag the card to one of these player mats, okay, these green and yellow mats. I'm going to drag this guy here. You see where I put them over here on the screen and over to the left. Drag your roll card to where it says roll on the player mat that you want to use, okay? So you 3 of you figure out who you want to be, and we will go from there. Let me add as a note, each of them has the name of the person or the name of the role. Then it says plus something and plus something. Those are the 2 expertise that character has. All right. When we talk about expertise, you use the name of your role, and you use the 2 things that say plus. So if I was playing the investigator and I was trying to decide if I had expertise in some particular role, I would use the fact that I'm an investigator and the fact that I'm what I have written here, disarming and psychology to try to make an argument. Okay. Then it has below that, it has parentheses NPC, their name, and some characteristics. That's only if they're an NPC. If it's your PC, you're going to name them, you're going to play them personality wise, appearance wise, however you want. But if they're an NPC, they're going to look like the card, they're going to have that name, they're going to have that personality, just to help me. Same thing with the picture. Once you select the guy that you're going to be, you can use the picture that's on the card, or you can go on the internet, find a picture, put it in the Roll20 chat, and I can create a little token to put in on your player mat, or you can just write in, what your character looks like. It's up to you. But anyways, like I said, I'm going to shut up. Which of the 10 do you each want to be?
I disagree on the movies. They're not that bad. I am sort of between security and medic, personally. Those are the two that I think have most caught my eye.
Wait, which one did you say you had your eye on? The medic?
Security or medic.
Security or medic?
Yeah.
I'll take. I think. I think I want to take medic. That might help you pigeon into security. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. If you want to take medic, then that works for me. I'll be security. Now the question is which mat to take. Well, I will be bottom center.
I was saving that one for myself, John.
Well, you should have chosen a roll faster.
Yeah, I don't see your name on it.
Snooze,
Mark,
you lose.
Did you want either of those, Mark, or are they okay?
No, that's great. I'm trying to find something that I think works well with those two folks.
Just play whatever you want. You guys are low-level civvies. You're all gonna die pretty easy. It doesn't matter.
Hey, wait, what? Wait a second.
No.
Was this in the contract?
Pretty much, yeah.
You'll get whatever's coming to you.
You got a nice life insurance policy.
Spoken like a true Cylon and/or android.
Dang, let's see. I am going to. I'm going with the investigator.
Okay.
So there's a mystery of some type apparently happening.
Could be. And go ahead and drag that down to where it says roll. Pick one of these cards. Look at these. Matthew and John have selected. John, this is just not super important, but I see you put in your name. It's really small text. If you could just make the text bigger.
I am attempting. There we go.
There you go.
Roll20 is not being the most cooperative.
If you select it, what happens is that a little pop-up will come up by the tooltips or the tool buttons, and then you can just change the font size. There you go. That looks good. Great. And you can do the same with the character name. And like I said, you can use the default image. You can use. You can find an image on the internet. Or you can just write in where it says image on your card what your appearance is. All of that is good.
So I am not super bad with Roll20, but I am trying to select player name.
Okay.
And it's not selectable.
It's not. You have to go into you have to go in and up in the upper left. Well,
okay.
In the upper left, you have to manually select text and then create a text box.
Okie dokie.
Yeah.
Sorry.
These are not I'm not sure, John would probably know what's the name of little
they're not fillable.
They're not fillable.
They're not,
exactly.
Yeah.
Copy that.
It's under the I button. The text is under I.
Yeah. Copy that.
I found that 40 points for the font size is pretty decent.
40.
Yeah.
Copy that.
I went whole hog on 56, baby.
Oh, nice.
One with 60.
All right. Well, someone's gonna go to 80 now. All right. So Great. So we've got our roles sorted out. Start thinking about your name, like I said, appearance, and let's go on to the next step. So going back to the character creation card, after we've established our role, then what we do is we're going to deal out background and agenda cards. You're each these will go in the in this on your player mat. You should see a spot right next to where it says your role card. It has a spot for background. It has a spot for agenda. These cards will be dealt to you and they'll stay face down, just like in Zombie World, if you recall. And you're going to get 2 of them. They're going to appear in your hand down at the bottom. You can click on them when they appear in your hand, and only you can see them. And then you select the one of each type that you want to keep, drag it onto the table, leave it face down. It should show up on the table face down, and leave it that way for now. Your background is your background. Your agenda is what your drive is. Okay, I'll talk more about these in a second, but when they're face down, they're not true. Anything that's written on the card is not true until it's flipped over. So if you don't like them, or you decide you don't want to play them, or you never get an opportunity, that is perfectly fine. You can go the whole game never exposing your background, your agenda, either or both. Okay. So it is totally up to you. There are advantages, there are disadvantages to flipping cards. It's up to you. Most people tend to do it at dramatic, opportune moments. And it's an exciting moment, but you don't need to do it. Once it is flipped over, everyone knows that about you. They magically now know that you used to be a bouncer, or they know that you're a cannibal, or whatever it might say, right? So there is no hiding it once it is flipped over. Let me just pull out a background card and tell you a little bit of what the bits that go into this. So I'm going to put it, it's underneath our non-monster threats. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to zoom in so I can read it. All the background cards will have this gray background. This one says Gambler, and it says plus Daring. So once this card is flipped over, you have 2 more things you can use to make an argument that you have expertise. You can use the name of the card, and you can use any plus something. So this character could say, I'm good at this because I'm a gambler, or I'm good at this because I'm daring. Then the card will have a sentence that tells you what you need to do to reveal the card. So this character would have to reveal the card when you tell a tale about how you lost it all and ended up in this chicken shit outfit. Okay. Then the card will have a list of things that it allows you to do. There will be various powers and whatnot. Whether it's things you can do to reduce stress, things you can, do to get advantage. There's a lot of different things that different cards will have. Okay. So that's a background card. Let me recall it, shuffle it. The agenda cards are more or less the same. Let me pull one of those out, flip it over. They have a green background. They have a name. A lot of them will have a plus something. They'll have each of them will have a quote from one of the movies, just to give it flavor. Then this also will have a reveal condition, something you have to do to reveal your agenda. Then it'll have some powers, but all of the agendas, how they're a little different is the very last sentence. It'll say you win if you do something. Now, there is no winner in this game. This is just to make it very clear what this drive of this character is. Now, agendas are all meant to be very impactful on the game. It should and probably will cause the characters around you to react very strongly, okay? And you should probably, for most of them, think about exposing that agenda later in the game. If you do it early on, it might lead you to be a pariah very early on. Some of them, this isn't true, but a lot of them are. So just keep that in mind. They're meant to be played to the hilt, okay? Let me recall them and shuffle. So now I'm going to deal out 2 of each of these to each of you. You select the one of each pair that you want to keep, drag it onto the table, and then I will recall the remainder once everyone's ready. So I'm going to deal 2 background cards to Mark, to John, and to Matthew. Boom. You've got 2 agenda cards, or 2 backgrounds, and I'm going to give you 2 agendas also. All right, go ahead and go to work.
So just to clarify, so that I don't accidentally display these to anyone, I just click on the cards that are at the top of my icon, and it's not going to display them to anyone
Nope,
else. Okay.
nope. It'll show them. It'll sort of blow up a little bit, and then you can click on each of them, and it'll show you the text. It
Got you.
won't, and we can't read them. I can click on your name. I don't even know,
Okay.
which is actually one of the fun things about this. The game master doesn't even know these things until they're exposed. Pick the one of each that you want, drag it up onto the appropriate spot on your card. Once you drag it up onto the table, you can't read it without us seeing it. You can't if you flip it over, we'll all see it. You can go back and read it. There's two ways. You can drag it back down to your name and let it go, and it'll return it to your own secret hand. Or under game concepts, there is a handout for agendas. There's a handout for backgrounds that alphabetically lists all of them. As we play the game, I'm sure you'll all kind of forget bits of your what they mean. So that's how you can go back and remember, jog your memory.
Sorry. So how do I return the card that I'm rejecting?
Just leave it in your hand. I'll once everybody's ready, I'll recall it and I'll pull them out of there.
Oh, so where do I put the card that I'm taking?
Up on the table,
All right.
where you put your roll card. I
Yeah.
forget which one. Which one are you? You the medic.
Yep.
So yeah,
I'm moving it,
yep, drag it on up next to where you have
and
your
it
roll
comes in
card.
face down. All right, baby.
Yep, yep.
All right. What's this deck? These gray deck cards.
Gray
Gray
deck
or
cards.
yeah, gray or white. Their
Uh,
background.
are they on the table right now? The ones you're talking about?
No, they're in my hand for some reason. They say profit
Uh,
and used to live, work, serve here.
oh, okay. Don't tell me that. Those are your agenda cards. You've got,
Oh,
uh,
sorry.
yeah. You select. Oh, it looks like you've selected your agenda. So now you need to select. Those are your background cards.
Ah,
You've got
background
to
cards.
you've got to choose one of those two. Since you just said them, do you want me to just give you two more, or you want to go with those? I could deal you two new ones. That way, you can go back to having a secret, or do you want to
Yeah,
go with
yeah. Let's reset those. Besides, they
Okay.
weren't that interesting to me.
All right. There you go.
Yeah,
Go ahead and just leave those there. But here's two more.
yeah.
There you go. So select from one of the two new ones.
All right. Thanks. Ooh.
All right. Looks like John's good to go.
All right.
Looks Mark and Matthew got one to go. Matthew's got his.
All right. I
Yep.
am good. Yeah.
Good. Okay.
One card each slot, right?
Yeah, that's right. There you go.
Those two
Everybody
that you
had
gave me were very good, actually. It was hard
good.
to choose.
Everybody like the ones they got. Last
Yeah,
call.
yeah.
All right, great. I'm gonna recall the ones
Mm.
in your hands, and I'm going to hide this deck. I'm gonna recall the backgrounds. Play your hands. I'm gonna hide this deck. Okay. Back to the character creation card. Next step, players name their PC, assign their pronouns, find an image to use, and the GM lets them know if they start with any gear. So you don't have any special gear, like we said. We know kind of the parameters of gear. Certainly, at any point, you can be like, I think I have this, and we can sort that out. But for now, just think about your name and stuff and your appearance. Once you're ready, then we'll introduce these characters. And I start with one threat card. So that's the threat cards again are sort of the things I can do to mess with you guys. So I'm going to give myself that now. Take a look at it. All right. And I'll gather more of them as we go. Oh, and we did level 1 civvies. So I start with just the level 1 monster card. I'll put that out on our table. Here it is. So we have in our game, of course, this is like character versus player knowledge. The characters don't know this, but we as players do. That we have the face hugger, with or without an egg. The worst. This is like if you get surprised and like stunned or something. This is what it'll do to you. It'll have the final embrace. That's jumping on your face. If you're forewarned, you may face adversity to hold it off long enough for a desperate action. Okay, so that is what it's in my what kind of bullets I have in my gun to start with. These 7 NPCs, I'm just going to kind of move them around a little bit, kind of keep them organized, kind of keeping our table as clean as possible is going to be part of my challenge. As you finish naming and thinking about your appearance and all that, in the upper left, there's a whole bunch of other cards. These are called system cards. And these are all the different systems on the station. And as you can see, if you look at them, most of them say broken on them. So as we begin the game, most of the stuff in the station is going to be broken. You're going to have to fix it if you want to use it. There are good news is that there is emergency power and there is life support. Think of a character name. Looks like we've got Quinn. We've got Melody. Matthew, do you have a name in mind for your guy?
No, not yet.
Okay. All right. Are you guys just going with sort of the default image that's on your card, or do you want to change it up, or you want to think about it?
I'm going to use the image on the card.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll see if I can find something, but I'm
Oh.
good for the moment.
Okay. Cool. While Matthew thinks of a name, let's go ahead and go around the table and just kind of introduce your character with their name and their pronouns, and what the other characters might know about them. It might be a lot, it might be a little, it might be nothing if they're really keep their cards close to the chest. But tell us a little bit about your character and what we might know about them. It is perfectly okay to lie. You know, especially based on your agendas and your background, you can just send out red herrings if you want. That's perfectly fine too. And remember, you haven't been together for that long enough to start to build some rivalries and some friendships maybe, but not that long at all. So that's where we begin. Let me start. If you're ready, John, if you could tell us a little bit about Melody.
Yeah. I do have one question for the group. So when we say we've not been together that long, are we thinking is that like on the order of, I imagine these trips to space truckers are long ones, right? We're talking like a trip itself could be a couple of years. So maybe this is our second trip together at this point. Is that kind of the right time frame?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And
I'll go with far daring.
Most of that time you're frozen, right? Most of that time, you're in. I always freeze up. What's the name of when you
cryo or
sleep? Cryo sleep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, most of the time, you're probably actually sitting around working face to face for a week or two at a time, and then you go back to sleep. The old sleeperino.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So yeah, I will be playing Melody, who uses she/her pronouns, and picture as pictured. Let's see. what you would know about Melody so far. So my role in this crew is as security. I think that really is more to do with when we are docked and at port places, right? Like on the ship, it's not like I'm police or anything, right? On the ship itself, I'm kind of in charge of manifests and handling paperwork when we come and go, making sure things are lining up in that regards.
Mhm.
I think you would know. So Melody often talks about working for her sunny day retirement. She's got this worn pamphlet of this like very 80s beach resort getaway back on Earth. And all the time, like in the mess hall, she pulls it out and is just like showing it off. Like, yeah, this is where I'm going one day. Look at that right there. Cabana boys all day long, bringing me drinks. When asked about her past, she's very dodgy. She doesn't really want to talk about the past a lot. But funny enough, whenever we make port somewhere, she can't help but run into somebody that she knows one way or another, which make of that what you will. But generally a very upbeat person. Likes to whistle. She's not very stealthy, even though she works security. Yeah, that's Melody.
Is she small person, medium size, average, large person? What do you
I'd
physically?
say physically small with an outsized personality.
Okay, great. I like it. Let's move over to Matthew. Matthew, can you tell us about Brooklyn?
Yeah. Oh, I am not muted. I thought I was. Oh my God. Yeah. I'm going with Brooklyn. They them pronouns. Um, I think they them pronouns. I'm still like figuring it out. I think they. I'm sorry. What kind of questions do you have for the character?
Yeah, just a little bit of like what they do on the ship, what they're like, what other people might know about them, if anything.
I think what is on the card is actually pretty good.
But
Which is that they are surprisingly uh, well, I guess it's not really that surprising. I guess they are, cultured. They enjoy finer music, and as the ship's medic, or what happens is, I think Brooklyn would be responsible for both the uh, well-being of the crew, but also like making sure that any health concerns on the stations that they visit are addressed and accounted for, and that means probably present. I think they have a fixation on maybe preparing, inoculating them against like spaceborne diseases and spaceborne and station uh, bred ailments. So yeah.
okay, great. And Mark, what do we know about Quinn?
Quick question. So Quinn, the role is investigator, but does the investigator have any authority in this sense, or is it something other than
Um,
that?
well,
I mean,
it's left vague. So, do you have an idea of what role or how we could sort of mold that to fit into what we know so far? That you're space truckers,
yeah. So
or maybe you could be a passenger. You could be, like along for the ride. Maybe you're. But go ahead. You have an idea.
yeah, I think that actually, on board I think that Quinn is a former investigator, and Quinn, uh, he it's a he's spoken to the crew about it. He was relieved of his duties as an investigator with the colonial security agency. I don't know what that is called.
Colonial Marshals.
Yeah,
You wanna
with
go with
colonial
that?
marshals. Perfect. So he was an investigator with colonial marshals. On board this ship, he actually serves as a cook and like a general janitorial person on board the ship, which I guess we have to come up with a name for. And he has tended to be kind of quiet and soft spoken, and he is portrayed by Michael K. Williams, and is a little bit on the younger side of most pictures that we see of Mr. Williams. Yeah, those are the things that jump out at the moment.
I see you put that link in the the StreamYard chat. Can you put it in the Roll20 chat? And then
Yeah.
I can then create a token when we on our break.
Sounds good.
Okay, great. And we don't need to know a whole lot about them. We will definitely learn more about these guys as we go. So that is a perfectly good start. Let us then move to the next thing, our first scene. So the very last handout is called Haunted Station Starting Scene. Starting scene. After a long journey, the PCs are revived from cryo sleep. They recover with some bad coffee and cornbread and gear up. Reaching the station, they tried to hail the station but got nothing but static. They park their ship close to the station and decide to send a party across in the ship's shuttle. We begin with the boarding party slowly approaching the station. I was going to put this in earlier, but let me go back. Especially, I think Matthew was kicking out some ideas. What is the rough shape of the station?
I think sort of like a ring within a ring. But instead of the usual one where it's like a donut, it's more like two gyros locked together. Like a circle and another circle. Or, yeah.
One's going vertically and one's going like horizontally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Like a top, maybe, kind of like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me see if I can draw that.
Yeah, we don't need a real detail, but just kind of give us a picture. Okay, great. Let me go to Mark then. So what's the name of your ship? What's the name of your ship, your space trucker ship?
You were going to give me that tough one, weren't you? So let's see. Thinking of alien ships. So there's the Sulaco, there's Nostromo. Those are the two that I can name. There's the Covenant. If you go back to the other movies, the Prometheus, I think, is one. And this is a trucker ship, and it's probably okay. So let's say it's secondhand, and the captain who purchased it renamed it the. Let's see. This person's a former colonial marine. The captain is, and there was a battle. And he named it after the name of that battle, which was a planet-side battle that took place in.
I'm thinking maybe to help you along, maybe if it's like where the planet, the planet or the colony where the battle would happen.
Yeah.
Has a name that is very because Sulaco and Nostromo, those are Joseph Conrad references.
Are they? Okay, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, and I don't know much about Joseph Conrad, but if you just scan Heart of Darkness or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is sort of a genre convention naming after Joseph Conrad's ships for some reason, but there are certainly others, like you said, Prometheus and Covenant. I do not think are Joseph Conrad. So let's go with where you're going though. So a battle. maybe versus the UPP, there was a space battle of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe, let's see, and we're kind of in that three world empire kind of universe. So maybe something British or Japanese sounding, or referencing, or Soviet if it was like on a Soviet world.
Let's see. So let's. Let's call it the God, I'm trying to remember the British scientist from like the 17th century that nobody's going to help me out with because I can't think of it either.
Newton.
Let's
What did they
Go with
discover?
yeah, there were a bunch of them. Let's call it the Lock. LOCKE.
All right. Yeah. Okay. I like it. Great. John, does the shuttle itself have a name? And I'll give you both of these. Does the shuttle have a name? And also, what's the basic design and look of the shuttle?
While we're on that, I pasted a picture of a gyroscope to illustrate what that kind of looks like.
Yeah, no, that made sense.
Okay.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Well, I think if the ship is the lock, it's stretching the metaphor, but this is called the key.
Sure. Okay.
Well, is lock spelled with is lock or spelled with an e?
Maybe the captain's a smartass and it's a pun or something.
I think
Okay.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the Keys, as in Milton Keys.
It doesn't really make sense, and so it's just like, okay, whatever, Captain.
It's the Milton Keys. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
And then basic
And-
design of the shuttle.
Yeah, just kind of like roughly what it looks like as we see it, on the screen.
I'm trying to picture which shuttles I've seen in Alien, and I'm drawing blanks on them.
The only one that comes to mind for me is the Nostromo, the escape pod she gets away with, and is actually a shuttle.
Mm-hmm.
But we can go with that, or if you have something, like I said, it could be as simple as it looks like a minivan in space, or it's it looks like an egg, or whatever. It doesn't have to be real detailed.
Yeah, I think it's kind of that shape you'd expect, sort of a longer body so that it's got room for some passengers. It's probably got a max occupancy of a dozen people at most. The one thing that stands out about it is it has a completely rounded front for the place where people sit and drive.
The bridge.
Cockpit.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Perfect. All right. So, which PC is up in the cockpit? Which of the three of you is probably up front? And you could be piloting, you could just be supervising, you could just be sightseeing. Which of the three is up front as we begin?
John, did you have something you wanted to go with there?
I was going to say, I think Melody could be up front as the person who is like raised on the comms. If we don't have a dedicated comms person, I think it makes sense for that to be Melody's role of trying to hail someone and get clearance for landing, for docking.
Sure.
Not piloting though.
So yeah, we see you. You've got a headset on. You're trying to raise the station. You're getting a lot of static. You're looking out the window. What do you see that's surprising or unnerving as you're approaching the station?
I think that so the station has rings. The outer ring, I think, is only sometimes spinning, right? Because it would be difficult maybe to always have that going. But the inner ring should always be spinning, but it's currently stationary.
Okay, great. Which PC is at a terminal trying to hack open the doors to the landing bay?
Right, opening the doors in the landing bay.
Yeah, there's a landing bay where the shuttle would fly into, and there's big doors that should open up, but you're not reaching the station. So one of you is at a terminal trying to hack into the station to try to get those doors to open as you guys are floating towards it.
Absolutely not Brooklyn.
Well, by the that leaves us only with one choice then. Sounds like Mark is Quinn trying his best.
Yeah, it's not really his normal purview,
No.
but he's given it a whirl.
Right. All right. So oh, I guess I do have the option here. You could be assisting or being assisted by an NPC. So let's look at our NPCs. Maybe there's someone on one of their NPCs that's probably a better fit for this. We have a corporate rep that's with you named Mitchell. We have a Comtech guy named Kotri. We have the pilot named Styles.
I think it's the Comtech guy.
Yeah, probably. Just to kind of round it out, we have a quartermaster named Stans, a scientist named Matsushita, a mechanic named Hawks, and the leader is Falade. Is Falade the captain or just like a flight officer? What do you guys think? Is the captain back on the ship, or are they along with you? Anybody have an opinion?
Sorry, the captain is back. I think the captain's out there for sure.
Out there with you?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's this lady named Falade. She's the captain. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Does that work with everybody? Okay.
Totally.
So Falade's our captain. Okay, great. So yeah, maybe we see you then, Mark, or I should use your name, Quinn. Quinn, you're helping Kotri, typing away at this terminal, trying to get these doors open. You're looking over his shoulders, and what do you see in the code? He's saying like, God, this code is a mess. It looks like somebody just went in and just like wrote a bunch of random. Somebody go ahead and I'm sure if it's Matthew or somebody, go ahead and mute. He's looking over the shoulder of Kotri. You're looking over Kotri's shoulder, and you're like, this code looks like somebody just randomly went in and just deleted and added a bunch of stuff. It's a total mess. And he's like rebuilding the code as you're flying along. What do you see in the code that makes your blood run cold? Looking over his shoulder, Quinn.
I think that like mixed into the code is is some information about I think that maybe it's like some kind of name that I shouldn't recognize, and it's somehow religious in nature.
Mm-hmm.
It certainly doesn't belong in this code, but it keeps on like randomly appearing throughout the code for an unknown reason, and I don't even recognize the name or maybe even the symbols. It's actually not a name, but it's like how many little pixels are those things? Are those letters made up of? It's just like these little symbols that don't make any sense within it, but that kind of thing, I think, that doesn't belong in with the rest of the code.
Right. And it keeps repeating.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. All right. So that leaves us with Matthew's character. And, that's Brooklyn. So Brooklyn, you have two choices. You could be the PC that's in the cabin thinking about someone important to you that you left behind on the ship, or you could be the PC that's moving around the ship, checking on and stowing gear. What do you think you're doing? Are you sitting there thinking about somebody, or are you moving around, stowing gear?
Absolutely, Brooklyn is the person who would be stowing gear, making sure everything is in order, taking stock of things.
And what does the inside of the shuttle look like? We said it's about big enough for 12 people, and you've got 10 in it, so it's pretty full. But what do you see? What do we see as we look around the shuttle? We see you moving around, checking gear.
I think everyone's quarters has been distinctly personalized, which is very odd for the fact that We've only been on 2 or 3 like crews together, commissions together, um, and that stuff. I think is a decision that some of the crew members have made because the ship is actually like the combination of humidity, temperature, all of like controls is actually more comfortable than they're used to, and so they've made a decision that we actually got a we got a less shitty ship than is average for a commission of this order. So why don't we like stick in for the long haul? And some of their plans is to renew their contracts like on a regular basis. That may not be any of the PCs, up to you guys to decide. But effectively speaking, it's like, oh hey, don't want to board another ship. I'm gonna make myself home here.
And we see you talking to someone or talking about something. What is it we see you talking about, and who are you talking to, and what does it teach us about your character? This is, let me paraphrase that or step away from that for a second. There's going to be a thing that we'll do a lot in this game. It's called a story. You'll have these moments where you'll have an opportunity to teach us something about your character, and this is the first time we have that. Just a quick little thing that we hear you talking about or saying that teaches us more about Brooklyn. What do you think it is, Matthew?
Um, I think he's talking to you have the leader here is actually the captain, right?
Yep,
Uh,
Falade. Yep.
Falade, that's right. I think um, Brooklyn is talking to Falade, and I'd say they're as he goes from quarter to quarter, or rather, like I forget what the word is, but but from room to room, he
Well,
does.
it's not. There's not really rooms. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, but it's not very big. This is the shuttle, not the ship. Okay, so I
Oh, this is
think
a shuttle.
yeah,
I'm so
you guys are,
sorry.
yeah, you guys are all sort of in a cabin. I'm picturing. Maybe you're all, most of you, other than you, because you're moving around, but everybody else is probably sitting down, with strapped into um, a chair, right? That's what I'm picturing.
Okay,
But
so yeah, so I guess
yeah, so what do we hear
Falade
you talking about with Pilate?
um talk. So Falade has picked up a um a close combat weapon, possibly a knife or a dagger,
Mhm.
and I think she's fiddling around with it. And I'd say that what Brooklyn does is instructs her on, or not instruct her, because she's very competent with martial arts, but sort of like they start, she starts coaching her on the proper use of the weapon, on how to like flip it around, and which is you've seen your action movies enough to be all like oh, you must strike them here, or when you hold the blade you must hold it like that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And she kind of gives you a smile, like a real gentle, sweet smile, and she strikes out with her arm like super fast, and the blade's like an inch from your throat, and she smiles again. She says, "You don't need to tell me that. I already know all of that, Brooklyn." All right, so we're gonna get to our first draw of the day now. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna see how that hacking is going. So it doesn't sound like Quinn is doing the hacking, but you're assisting. So really the person that's doing the hacking, we said, was Katri, right? So what we're going to do, we go to our moves. This is there's a handout called special moves. There's a move called NPCs do their thing. When a PC triggers a move while being assisted by or assisting an NPC, they draw the cards, but they use the NPC's expertise to help. But they may use the NPC's expertise to help. So this is a little bit under time constraint or duress, so we're going to need to draw cards for this. So again, if you need to go back to the resolution mechanic card, this is going to be for Mark, because Mark, you were the one that was, or Quinn was looking over the shoulder of Katri. And we're going to decide how many cards you're going to draw for Katri here. You get one card just because, all right? Now, Quinn, can you make an argument that either Quinn or Katri has an expertise that applies to this task? All right. So look at your card. You've got what was it? Investigator. And the two things that are associated with that. What is it? Disarming and psychology.
And
And then
yeah.
Khatri's also.
So I think Khatri is going to have to take care of this. They have analysis.
Yeah, or Comtech. I mean, those.
Oh, Comtech itself counts.
Yeah,
Okay.
Comtech itself. Yep. Yeah. Okay.
Cool,
so he's got two cards now. Do you have the right tool for the job? Do you have? Can you think of what you guys have that's the perfect thing for the situation?
Well, he is using he's using the comm systems, the computer systems, I guess, on board the shuttle. I don't know if that's perfect.
Well, if you guys were complete badasses, I might say yes.
Yeah.
But since you're just space truckers, I'm going to say no.
Okay.
You don't have a high enough powered computer to make this happen. So he's not going to get that card. Let's go to the next part. Do either of you have significant advantage? Is there anything we've established that would give you advantage in this situation?
No.
No, I don't think so. We haven't done enough to really build that up yet. Okay, the last thing. Do you want to take a stress to get an extra card, to get a third card? Right now you're at 2. Do you want to take a stress to get to 3?
No.
Oh, and let me talk about stress because we haven't done that yet. Down at the bottom left of each of your player mats, there are 5 red boxes. That's for your stress. The little red X's that you see on the screen, you can grab any of those when you acquire stress and just fill those boxes. Just kind of like drop it.
Mm-hmm. I love the tokeniness of it all.
Exactly. It's a lot like a board game sometimes when you play this. So you said no?
You're correct.
Okay. And if you ever get to 5, then you're overwhelmed. We'll talk more about that as we get close to it. Okay, so you're looking at 2 cards. So what you're going to do, Mark, is you're going to go to the resolution deck, and you're going to just pull out 2 cards and put them in the middle of the table there, and we'll see what we get.
So I just I left click, hold, and then release it?
Yeah, you kind of hover your mouse over it until it moves. Yeah, you got it. Miss and edge. Okay, so edge isn't too bad. So we go back and look at the special move. NPCs do their thing. On a hit, they succeed. On an edge, there's a complication. They are hurt. They reveal their treacherous nature. They are overwhelmed by stress. Their work is shoddy, or it takes them a long time.
I think one of the last 2 seems to make the most sense under the circumstances. I guess either they miss something when they're doing it, and their work is shoddy, so they get like a lesser result, maybe, or they just they're not getting it done in time before we actually are in position to dock.
All right, which one do you want? Gotta decide.
So to clarify, they are Khatri is trying to access the communication systems on board.
No, he's basically trying to hack into the controls for the landing bay doors.
Okay,
so there's like a landing bay. So he's trying to get these doors. Usually they would open to allow you guys to land inside this, this landing bay, and then it would pressurize, and then you could go onto the station. Okay. But because you're not able to get the station, he's trying to hotwire into the Wi-Fi system basically to try to open these doors, from afar.
Then I think that he is. I think it's going to be shoddy work, and
you only have to choose one. So that's one.
Okay. And we can talk about that.
Their work is shoddy. It may fail at the worst time. Okay.
Yeah.
So we see, he's cleaning up this code. He's inputting new code as fast as he can. It's all in DOS. It's all very manual. And finally, he's like, "Aha, I got it." And you guys, turn. You look out the view screen maybe, and you see the door start to open up. All right. So at that moment, there's a bright flash, and who did we say was driving? Was that you, John? You were up front?
I'm up front. I think our pilot NPC is who's driving. I'm up front.
You're probably co-piloting. All right. So you guys look in the equivalent of your rear view mirror, the rear facing camera, and you see the bright flash, and you see your ship has exploded. a kilometer or two before you. It's exploded, and moments later, you can like almost see it in space. You can see all the wreckage coming at you. You can see the flames. You know that who knows what a real explosion would look like in space, but you know there's a huge bunch of flames and explosion, and there's a pressure wave that you know is moments away from hitting you guys, and all of this wreckage is going to come flying at you. You're going to get rammed into the station. It's just a matter of how well you can pilot, how much damage the ship is going to take. Okay, so we need you to make a draw. Again, you're really kind of co-piloting, so it's really who do we say our pilot is? Styles. Styles is sort of talking to himself. He's like, okay, I got to hit the stabilizer, hit the rear, hit the rear, you know, maneuvering thruster on 3, 2, 1, go. He's really talking himself through it at this rapid pace as he's trying to go into motion to try to get this shuttle to avoid the worst of this wreckage and this pressure wave. And we want to see how this goes. So another draw. So John, we're going to have to same set of questions for you. Do you first of all you get one card for free? Do you again, I gotta keep trying to remind myself to get your names. Is Melody or does Styles have an expertise that would be perfect for the situation?
So, what's the pilot's name?
Styles.
Yeah, Styles is a pilot, so applicable skill. But I think Melody is not helpless in this scenario. She's got sharp eyes. She's there to help him, co-pilot and navigate. Like, you got to hit that.
Right. Maybe you see he's a little slow. You reach over and you hit some, button or switch or whatever.
I picture like there's like probably multiple bay doors, and so it's like which one are they even going to get open? And then she spots the one. It's of course the farthest one to the right, like over there. Quick, Styles.
Mm-hmm. Great. So yeah, one way or the other, you guys have expertise. You're up to 2 cards. Do you have the right tool for the job? Is there any piece of equipment or anything that you can make an argument is the right tool for this job?
I don't think so. This isn't a shuttle equipped for space explosions.
No, I agree. I think you're out of luck there. Have we established any sort of significant advantage?
No, I think we established a significant disadvantage.
Yeah, I think you're right. Do you wish to take a stress to give yourself a 3rd card?
I do.
Okay. So take one of those little red X's, fill in your first box on your character mat. And when you are ready, let me recall and shuffle.
I was about to ask if you
I think I already did. I don't see the cards on the table. So it doesn't hurt to redo it. Let's just shuffle again. Okay. When you are ready, throw 3 cards out on the table. Let's see how this goes.
All right.
Triumph. Well, you don't even bother with the other 2.
Don't you keep going?
Once you get the triumph, it's all good.
I already have the second, so it's already out there.
All right. So we see you and Styles, frantically making these adjustments, hitting these thrusters. The doors, are they start to open, and you turn the ship sideways because, like we said, the work is kind of shoddy. So the doors are only like halfway open. You turn the ship sideways. You come into this dark landing bay, and he kills. He hits the hard, forward thrusters to like stop your momentum, and the ship, comes to a landing inside this bay. These red lights come on. Usually there would be all kinds of lights that would come on once this happened, but only a few like emergency red lights come on. There's some steam that's coming up off of your ship as pressure and air starts to fill the bay. Let's go ahead and take a break. Let's take another 10 minutes. We'll come back for another 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll call it a day. Okay, so let's take 10. We'll come back and see what happens. Okay, we're on board the Hanoi station now, and as I said, you guys have, you come in, you took some bumps and stuff from wreckage and stuff as you came in, but Stans and Melody were able to make adjustments, get you guys to land into this landing bay, which should be bright and welcoming, but instead it's very dark with just a few red emergency lights. The doors have shut. There's all kinds of like hissing and gas, as it fills with oxygen, and the pressure stabilizes and or pressurizes, and Faladi comes up into the cockpit, Melody, and says, tell me the ship's okay. What happened? What was that flash?
And I think you can see Melody is shaken, and just looks at Fly and says, "I'm not sure I'm okay. But boss, I don't think the ship's there anymore."
And she looks shocked. She kind of falls back into a spare seat there, and she puts her hands up to her face. And that's a good point you make. I think everybody take a stress. Take a stress is just bad events. Something bad happened for sure. So everybody give yourself one of those little red X's. Fill up one of your stress boxes. And I think the NPCs are stressed too. When NPCs are stressed, they don't do very well. They just don't function well. So you're seeing that in her. Everybody's looking shocked. You see Melody. You also see on the dashboard on the control panel. There's all kinds of red lights. Like everything's. Styles is looking and he goes, "Oh shit, we're overheating all over. I got to shut down completely." And he goes about the process of shutting down the ship. It looks like something bad has happened to the shuttle. Matthew, your character was kind of like standing around. You probably got thrown against a bulkhead or something. Maybe that's part of your gaining stress. You kind of come to and pull yourself up. What do you want to do? Brooklyn.
Yeah. I guess first thing Brooklyn does is look around and make sure everyone's all right, and sort of like get a sense with her senses, like through the air and everything, like whether the environment and the conditions of the place are like looking for something funny smelling, funny tasting, that kind of thing.
Do you want to open the door and go out into the landing bay? Still in the
Is there any
shuttle
way
right
for me?
now.
Yeah, is there any way for me to sort of scan the immediate environment or examine it without having to pop open the shuttle doors?
There's not really like sensors. I mean, it's really just a matter of
Yeah.
like looking out the window, I suppose. That's about as high tech as it gets on this thing. You want
All
to?
right, yeah. So I
Sure,
guess
sure.
yeah.
Let me ask what Quinn's probably doing. You were at the panel with Khatri. What are you gonna do after this sudden landing?
So Quinn steps back from the console where Katri's been working, and he's been looking over Katri's shoulder, and his eyes are still wide from that bad sequence of events, and first seeing that strange text in the code, and then the kind of the every frenetic thing that happened after that, and he kind of like starts reaching around on him, and he finds a flask of coffee that he's brought with him, and he says, "Anybody need some Joe?"
And what you can do is you can go ahead and add coffee to your gear list. Maybe that'll come in important later. We'll find out. So when you get a chance to go ahead and add coffee to your gear, part of your character sheet. Okay, great. I think what we'll do then is we are going to help, looking out the window, whether it's Quinn stepping forward and looking out, or Melody looking out the cockpit window, or now Brooklyn looking out one of like a side window out into the darkness of this landing bay. Let's get a better feel for what we see. There is a move. There's a group of moves called location. Well, it's really just one move. Look, I guess there's two moves. Anyways, location. Open up that card, and there's one called new location. That's the second one. When you arrive at a potentially dangerous destination, the GM provides a rough description of the location's dimensions and appearance, and then the PCs complete the following steps. So I just described it. It's fairly large, and there's enough red light to see a little bit. Maybe some of the strobe lights on your shuttle are lighting up, especially the front part, in front of where you landed. And you can see, you can see there's a lot of damage in here. You can see like there's girders that have come down. You can see scorch marks on the walls. And you can see, in the lights, especially Melody, in the lights of the front part of your ship, you can see like the main doors that go out into the station. They're all barricaded. Like there's large pieces of metal that it look like they've been welded and like created like a barrier. So you like, at least at first light, it doesn't look like you can get out of here. So I think that's the first blush of what you see. Then let's go around and have a couple of you guys add some more details. So this is the part that says details. The first time the location is visited, the players define a couple genre-appropriate features or aspects that help the PC further their character's development. So this is where you like give it some set dressing, or you can add things that help you to do what your character would want to do. So if you're like a computer guy, you might add, oh, there's a really good computer over there, I see. So those are perfectly valid things you can do. So let me start with Matthew. Matthew, what do you see looking out the window? What's a feature of this place that you notice?
I
Matthew
think that when you
is
look out
Brooklyn.
the yeah, when we look out the a window, there is. I think we established that there's a lot of graffiti on the external of the space station, but I also think that there are a lot of lights, like a lot of ornamental lights on the landing bay, like lanterns, all sorts of things. It's almost just like either someone had some kind of festival or there was a blackout. It could be any of those things. So you see all sort of these like separate light sources, not something that's fixed to the station. Emergency, those emergency like halogen lamps scattered all over the place. Some of them tipped over. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean this place just went through decompression, and recompression. So a lot of that's been lost. But yeah, a lot of you see these strings of lights and stuff, that are still hanging from these girders and stuff. So yeah, that's appropriately creepy. John, what's another feature or something else you notice looking out, your windshield?
There's a lot of storage crates throughout the area, and we didn't make a graceful landing. So when we came in, we actually took out several of them, and now you can see, looking down on the ground right outside the ship, one of the crates had been busted open, and scattered across the ground is a bunch of like packing material, but then you can see peeking out through that are these small books that have they have that strange symbol that Quinn saw. It's on the cover of this book, of these books scattered across. They're these small religious texts.
Cool. And Quinn, I'm going to move on unless you have something really cool you wanted for sure to get into the scene. You're good? Okay, so then the GM places a non-monster threat. So I think what happened, you're looking out the windows and you see these lights, and you see the lights are kind of strewn on these girders. And you see kind of high up on one of the walls, you see that there's a window, and you didn't notice it at first because it's so dark, but a light, like a lantern. It looks like an old school like fire lantern lights up like some space. And you can see that there's people in there that are like looking out the windows at you guys, at least a couple people. All right. And then because we've entered a new situation, I introduce a plot hook and deal a threat card. I think that's pretty much a plot hook. I think the stuff you guys introduced were definitely plot hooks, so we'll go with that. but I do get a new threat card. So I'm going to deal myself one of those. And the Captain Falade, she says, look, I'm going to try to pull the crew together. Melody, why don't you grab a couple people and check it out and see what's out there, see what's going on. Okay.
Yeah, Captain. Yeah. No. Okay, yeah. Heads back on straight. Let's do this. Brooklyn, Quinn, somebody come with me.
I got you, Melody.
So you guys, you
Brooklyn
open
nods.
the door. The door goes, rises up, and the air in here is very fresh. It's almost pure oxygen. But there is a smell. You smell an electrical fire, and you look, and you see your ship has like a huge gash on it, like deep into the mechanics and the electronics of it. There's a bit of a fire going on the outside of your ship.
Jesus Christ, what is happening?
I think I'll grab a fire extinguisher from the brackets and try to go at the fire just for effect.
Sure. You see that the people up in the window, maybe you see, Brooklyn, the people up in that window up above you, like they're waving their lanterns back and forth. It's like they're trying to, get your attention.
Can they hear me from here? So I get, I yell like, hello there, and like just sort of like call out to them, and see what they have to say, wait for them to take the initiative to communicate.
You doubt it. I mean, these walls are pretty thick on a landing bay because things like crashes and stuff happen. So it's unlikely. And your voice, it echoes very ominously in this large space, this large open space. It doesn't seem likely. They're continuing to wave these lanterns.
Mm.
It's probably 3 or 4 meters up on the wall is where they're at. So it's a sort of an elevated space. And like, I think it was John said there's all these shipping containers, along the walls and stuff. They're probably all secured to the wall so they don't fly out, when there's decompression. But some of them have been busted open. There's a bunch of loose books and stuff laying around.
I think as Quinn sort of like extinguishes the fires around him, Brooklyn sort of like paces forward and proceeds to look around the area, almost like indifferent to Quinn's attendance of the emergency, and sort of just like inspecting the containers, seeing if there's anyone, on deck. Unlikely, but still, just.
Sure. All right, great. That sounds like you triggered a safety move. This is a move called Investigate. When you have appropriate fictional positioning, you may search for information, a person, or a thing. Before drawing, share a story. So let me have you guys all look under game concepts. There's a handout called Stories. And I mentioned this earlier, but this is a good time to get more detail about it because we'll be doing this a lot. Stories. At various points of the game, the PCs will be prompted to tell a story. These usually occur as part of a card reveal, blah, blah, blah. When sharing a story, the player shares something that tells us more about their character. It can be, I've got a stupid thing in the way, I can't read it. Hold on. No, I still can't read it. I got it over. Never mind. Actually, I don't have it. Roll20's messing with me. Hold on. I can't. It's covering up some of the words, but I'll just make it up. When sharing a story, the player shares something that tells more about their character. It can be a quick exchange, a conversation with other characters, or a flashback. But it should be short and to the point. These are quick exchanges or one-liners in the quiet in-between moments of the movie that help us care about or hate these characters. If the card or move doesn't specify the topic for discussion, the PCs may make up their own genre and mood-appropriate topic. The GM and other players may also suggest an aspect of the storyteller that they are curious to learn more about. And then there's just some broad topics. You could really anything that you think will tell us more about your character. Some broad general a story illustrating an identity card or expertise, a story exploring your history with one of the factions in the setting, a story hinting at past history with the setting's monster, a story establishing a past involvement with another character. So Matthew, back to you. So as you start to look around, it can be something you're talking about. We could have like a flashback little vignette. What is it what's a story that tells us more about Brooklyn?
I think I think what Brooklyn does is that he sort of like mutters under his breath, uh, um, saying like always the same. Uh, it's always the same with these stations. No one there to greet you.
Okay. So you've had experience with this kind of situation. Great. All right. So back to the investigation, the safety move called investigation. Describe what you're hoping to find or discover. What is Brooklyn hoping to find or discover?
Um, I mean, based on what we have so far, I guess what is the I guess the broad status is like what is the overall situation, but I think that's not very useful. So more specifically, I want to know what happened to docking authority, what happened to like traffic control.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Um, and then describe how you put yourself into danger like an idiot by getting too close to something, making too much noise, getting too focused on your task, wandering away from the group, etc. How do you put yourself into danger like an idiot? Because in these
Uh,
movies, whenever people look around, they always put themselves in danger.
yeah, yeah. Sorry, the options were get too involved in your focus,
Really make up
isolate.
whatever you want. Yeah.
I think getting being a little bit isolated from the group is what
Yeah. Yeah. It
happens.
sounds
Yeah.
like it. It sounded like you had almost scorn for what Quinn's trying to do, like shoot, spraying foam onto this fire. Okay, great. So now we're ready to draw. So, uh, Brooklyn, you get one card just for free. Does Brooklyn have an expertise that would help him in this looking about?
My understanding is our skills or our expertises are the ones listed in the card, medic, adaptable, and fit, right?
That's right.
Uh,
That's right.
I don't think medic and fit go with this situation, and I don't know if like adaptable is too broad a use of that term. But let me know. I think adaptable is like the only thing that might be invoked. Might? Question mark.
Yeah, I think if we sort of like frame it as maybe you're not as shooken by this whole situation as everybody else,
Yeah, I
you
think that's clearly
you've got
established.
your wits together. Okay, so yeah, I like that. So we'll give you that second card, and oops, and then the next one. Do you have a piece of equipment that's a perfect thing, the right tool for the job? Is there anything in your pockets or in your pack or anything that would help you here?
Um, I the only thing I can think of that Brooklyn would be searching with is probably some sort of a flashlight.
Hmm.
I do not know if that counts as another card.
Yeah, I think I like it. So sure, go ahead and also when you get a chance, add flashlight to your gear list. So we
Yeah,
see you pull out a flashlight, you click it on, you're looking about. So we'll give you that third card.
yeah.
Have we established anything that would give Brooklyn significant advantage?
I don't believe so. No, no.
No, I can't think of anything. And then
Yeah.
finally, does Brooklyn want to push themselves to get a fourth card? Take a stress to get a fourth card? Or do you want to
No,
just go with three?
go with three.
Okay. So when you're ready, draw three resolution cards and throw them on the table.
All right. Resolution cards. Wait, where's that deck?
It's the top deck on the right side.
Top
And
deck on the right
yep,
side.
it says resolution. It's on the
Hmm?
bottom right side of the
Oh,
table.
bottom right side of the.
Yeah, you just sort of hover your mouse over where it says resolution. It should move a little bit, and then you can left click and drag it onto the into the middle of the table.
I see it there. It was configured weirdly. All right,
Yeah.
one.
Edge.
2.
Yes. Edge. Okay.
Uh,
This is a good time too to introduce the help mechanic. If any of the other two characters feel that there's something they can do to help, you can take a stress, and then you can draw one card for each card that the person that is acting has showing. So right now, all you guys have just one card showing, which is your roll card. So if anybody wants to help you, they would take a stress, they would draw one extra card to see if they could get something better to replace what he has already. So let me ask the two of you, you're both kind of there. Is there anything that either one of you can and will do to help at the cost of a stress?
Well, I think that I think Quinn has some background that would allow him to help with investigating, since that's what he's doing. So I am willing to take a stress for you to have an additional card for that.
Great. Okay. So
Nice.
what you do is take one of those X's, and then what you do, Mark, you're going to draw one card and throw it on the table. And one of the neat things about how this works too, the zombie world has the same thing, is that the help and the hinder are both work the same way. I'll tell you more once you draw a card. So Mark, when
Okay.
you're ready, draw one of those resolution cards and put it out on the table near where Matthew put his three, and you got an edge.
Third edge.
So what you're doing is you're taking your card and you're replacing one of his cards. So in this case, it's a wash. It doesn't do anything. But if you got a triumph, you could replace his miss with your triumph, then he could have a triumph. But let's say you wanted to hinder him. So in this case, you really couldn't help a lot either because he's got two edges. But let's say he had two misses and an edge. If you wanted to hinder him, you draw a card. Let's say you got a miss. You could take your miss and replace his edge with your miss, and then he ends up with three misses. So hindering and helping all work the same way. So anyways, in this case, nothing happens because he ends up with three edges. So edge is what it's going to be. So we go back to the investigate move and take a look at what edge means. On a hit, in addition to finding what you're looking for, you find out something that moves the plot forward. And in this case, a triumph would give you something special. So an edge is just basically, that's it. It's just, you find something, what you're looking for, and you move the plot forward. So I think you see near where, remember, you know how I said like that the front door has like, it's all barricaded? You can see spray painted on it, on the girders that have been welded to this. You can see it says something like, fuck the collective.
Ooh.
Okay. And you also see that it looks like, that's interesting. You can see that the storage boxes are configured in such a way that if you were to climb up them, you could use them as stairs to kind of get to, there's sort of like a terrace up above that you could climb up to, and there's a door there that would lead into this space where these flashing lanterns are. So there's a way to get up and out of here if you wanted to take it.
Yeah.
And like most PBTA games, when you do the actually, no, that's not true for this one. Never mind. I was going to say you get a significant advantage forward, but you don't. You know how in most PBTA, when you do the look around move, you get the +1 forward. And this one, you don't. Sorry, I misspoke. Okay, so I think that's probably a good time to stop. I think we've established this. We kind of got ourselves going into the story. Let's stop there with the three of you. We see Quinn is putting out the fire. What do we see probably Melody doing at this point, John? Get you placed for next time.
I think the closing shot is of her pulling out that pamphlet of the resort and just kind of, putting a hand on the picture cover and saying, "Guess not today."
Right. Okay, perfect. Great. And then we saw Matthew, you're looking up there and you see this, this opportunity to get out of here, hopefully, and the fuck the collective. Okay, great. So let's go around and do a little stars and wishes, in this first introductory section. I know a lot of it was learning the game, getting things, setting the settings, setting the characters. But if you have any stars and especially wishes looking forward, I would be very glad to hear them. Let me start. If you've got anything, let me start with you, Matthew. You can do both at the same time, or you can do one and come back. We'll come back to you for the other.
Sorry, stars and wishes, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think first of all I want to say like the cojones on John to name a character a melody in the dark forbidden universe of Alien, and number number two for Mark, I really enjoyed um, I think I really enjoyed a lot of the suggestions that were being made through Cargen, and for both of them, for both John and Mark. Um, I'm a little jealous of you two guys from having to have the privilege of the rocky entry into the situation kind of thing, but that comes with the territory of like being the medic. But I thought you handled it cool with trying to unfortunately not quite successfully get a grip on the situation coming in. And I want to give another star to Jason for running this game. And I think we've all played Alien before, but wow, the amount of setup and like it's just. If I understand correctly, this is like sort of like a card-based twist in the situation with no dice, like and everything. And um, yeah, it's been so long since I played Alien. Yeah, I thought very flexible, very open to suggestions of where we went with this car gen, and I'm really looking forward to the rest of the campaign.
Okay, great. And do you have any specific wishes right now, or do you want me to come back to you? Or do you
Come
just
back to me, yes, yeah,
pass?
come back to me
Okay,
about
great.
that.
Okay, great. Let me flip around to hear what Mark has for us.
Yeah, my top star is to you, Jason. It's interesting the way that you've kind of like it seems like you've carefully curated parts from some of the games that you've mentioned and put your own twists on them and made them come together in an interesting new way. And I'm curious to see how it's going to play out over the course of the 4 sessions. But this is really fun. Get everything set up. It's a fun starting scenario to start with, and interested to see where it goes. Stars to Matthew and John. I know it's going to be a fun time playing with you folks because it seems like it is every time. I'm glad we're getting this opportunity to do it again, and just jumping in and not holding back on getting into the game, getting into the characters. I appreciate it. I'll come back and do wishes too after.
Okay,
Matthew.
Great. John.
Cool. I'll go ahead and just do both mine. I think my stars are for the game design. I really liked this whole way you've got it set up of building up. Just all the questions we went through. I thought that was really well done, and has gave a good kickstart. And then I like the opening scenario as well, the way you've got that handled. Super excited to learn more about Quinn and Brooklyn. Always love playing with both of you, so that star goes unspoken. I think specific wishes. I am really wishing to see. I'm really hopeful to see people have strong independent agendas. Not necessarily. I mean, that could be like us being in direct conflict, but that could be just people going after whatever ends that maybe don't totally align. That's one of my favorite things about these kinds of games in this universe. So
great. Thank you. Let's see. I'll throw out my stars and I'll come back for any sort of wishes or my own little kind of commentary. Yeah, you guys all got it, and I think your opportunities to put in your input is right on target. It's very genre appropriate for everybody. Everybody knows what they're talking about. I mean, I've curated this, or I selected each of you because I played with you before, and I know you like this stuff, and I know you can do it. So not surprised at all that you're giving really good stuff. Uh, it's really interesting. Uh, this is neither here nor there probably, but I've having played this game like 3 or 4 times now, and having like places where people make choices, they always like surprise me. Like you have a very interesting mix of like the non-monster threats. It's really going to be interesting how we all bring those into the story, and how they interact with each other. And I like the moment. I think a very good example of that is where John like made the point of saying there's sort of a socialist sort of collective also to add that third faction. I think that's a very smart idea to take that opportunity to add that in. I think, well, I'll come back to the other parts after you guys give me wishes. John already did his, but let's go back to Matthew. Matthew, do you have any particular wishes?
Yeah, first of all, my wish is that Melody never get the vacation that she hopes for. My other wish is that I hope for Mark's sake that Quinn is not preggers with the alien. While I'm very nostalgic for the
Mm.
time that his body got ripped apart that time, let's not have a repeat of that. And I kind of, I'm really, really, I think wishes is I really want to see that angle of like I know Dead Space is like super popular and super mainstream, but I think no, I think that's for a reason, which is that it really it did something that some of the other like dark science fiction horror things did, which is explore like the sort of religious angle of like enabling a station-wide infection. So like I hope that comes into play in some degree with the socialist twist that John introduced. So yeah, those are my wishes, and I also wish for everyone to have a good time, of course.
Sure. Before I forget, I see Matthew, you put up a picture of Benedict Wong for your character, which is a great pick. Could you put that JPEG on this on our our Slack,
Yeah,
our Slack DM group? That way, I'll be able to copy it over to, because once I leave here tonight, all of our chat's going to disappear, and
I have saved all
I'll
my
lose it.
links onto a notepad file.
Yeah, and I think same thing. I don't know if you've done so already, but I think Mark, you had put a picture out. You wanted the guy from The Wire to be.
Yep,
I see. I see. You got it on here. Great. I did notice the link you put is for like an article. If there's a specific picture you can find on the internet, that would be better. And
Yep.
you could probably just put it on the Slack. That would be the easiest way for me to find it, and I'll get your pictures into play.
We'll do.
And I'm kind of glad John went with the default picture. I really like this picture. I don't know who the actress is, but I like the look. It's perfect. So I'm glad you decided to go with the default. Okay, sorry. Last thing, Mark wishes.
Yeah, it looks like I'm on. So I wish to get some really crunchy, squishy body horror type descriptions as we go along. And you know what I really wish that we would have is something I can't have, which is in John's Alien run, that the moment that I will forever remember that Jason had when he was directing the corporate person to gather up the stuff that they wanted from the lab. And the way that developed was so cool. I'd love to see something totally unexpected like that happen, but it's
Sure.
It's a once in a game thing.
Some sort of treachery and
yeah,
dramatic confrontation. Oh, I'm sure we'll see plenty of that. Yeah.
And hopefully the crunchy, squishy body horror you wish for,
Yeah.
Mark, happens to someone else.
We'll see that. We'll see that too for sure. Yeah. just probability wise, one of you is probably sitting on a very juicy agenda that's going to have some big impact in that direction, I'm sure. Again, you guys don't have to have player versus player stuff. It's up to you if you want to flip that agenda. If you're sitting on something that's going to create conflict and you don't want to do it, that's fine with me. But if you do, that would be pretty cool too. I think the last thing I was going to say, I'm glad we have 4 sessions, because today took, so much of our time was taken up by just, creation, setting and character creation, explaining rules. I knew it was going to take up a lot of the time, but it took a little bit longer than I was pleased with. So excuse that. But my experience with the game, if you're leaving it, you're like, boy, that was a lot of like setup, and we only had a little bit of time to play. Now that we've done the setup, the following sessions are almost like, just scene after scene after scene. There's not nearly, once we get that set up and that we've figured things out, like I think we've done today, a lot of what's coming next is just going to be action after action. So anyways, that's my last thought. Anybody else have any thoughts before we say goodnight for tonight?
I have a final thought that probably already everyone knows about, which is that I just love the fact that this board is full of nothing but alien Easter eggs.
Yeah.
My personal favorite really is second grade citizenship award to Rebecca Jordan.
Yeah. I have to tell, making this game was a pleasure, to dig in and find all of the quotes and all the pictures.
How long were you on VLC Media Player scrubbing the footage?
Yeah. I mean, obviously I can't sell this game to anyone because I will get sued for billions of dollars by Disney. But I don't care. It's fun. Anyways, well, thank you guys. I will see you next Monday.
All right.
Sounds good. Bye, everybody.
Tuesday for me.
All right. Bye.
Bye.